federal judge has ordered special counsel Robert Mueller to put up or shut up in his case against Paul Manafort. Mueller's team is accusing the president's former campaign manager of violating his plea deal by telling, quote, multiple discernible lies that were not instances of mere memory lapses. These lies are said to involve Manafort's contact with the Trump administration as well as a Russian-Ukrainian political operative. But earlier today, a judge ruled that the document filed by prosecutors did not contain enough factual evidence to proceed to a hearing. So the special counsel seemed to be on a hot streak of late. How will this setback affect the president and Manafort? Joining me now, former assistant U.S. attorney and Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy is here. Welcome back, Andy.
Nice to be with you, Kennedy.
So what was the judge saying? That there was not enough factual evidence to make the case that Paul Manafort had violated the plea agreement that he had as special counsel?
Yeah, I think this is a lot of heavy breathing. Mostly what the judge wants them to do is go off and see if they can't work it out. In point of fact, I'd like to say that I've written a bunch of these agreements, except that they're really kind of rote agreements. They're very one-sided in favor of the prosecutor, because the prosecutor always has all the cards when you're dealing with somebody who pleads guilty and wants a cooperation sort of leniency deal. Mm-hmm. And most people think that they're bargaining to give information to the prosecutor. Actually, all you're bargaining for is a chance to allow the prosecutor to evaluate whether he thinks you're telling the truth or not. And all you are guaranteed...
It sounds like they really don't have to show anything, and
Nope.
the ball is really in the prosecutor's court to control. So why is this such an uphill fight for Manafort, given that he hasn't really been indicted for anything having to do with the campaign or the president specifically?
Yeah, well, his current problem is that he's already been convicted on about, I think, 10 counts, and he's got probably upwards of 120, 130 years of potential prison exposure. So he's got two avenues, as I see it. One is to try to convince Mueller that he is of great value. That doesn't seem to be going very well. And the other is the possibility of being pardoned. And the interesting dynamic here, Kennedy, is those two things are really at loggerheads.
And it's interesting, as you point out, it doesn't really matter if Manafort violated the agreement, that these things are written so prosecutors can just decide if they want to do away with you. It's interesting because on the flip side, the Mueller team seems to be pretty happy with what Michael Cohen has presented to them. But at the same time, concurrently, you have the Southern District of New York, which said really nasty, gossipy things about Michael Cohen in their sentencing memo. And you think that spells trouble for the president. Why?
Yeah, well, I think if you read that memo that the Southern District of New York, my old office, filed, it looks like a testimonial to the vital nature of the campaign finance laws in our election system, and it's a way to claw back authority from the rich and the powerful and tamp down on public cynicism about money in elections and the like. It doesn't look to me like that was written for Cohen. They look like from the beginning they've been trying to make a case on the president, to the point, Kennedy, that when Cohen pled guilty in court, they elicited from him that he was directed by Trump. Mm-hmm. Now, that was not necessary to anything, that was not necessary to establishing the factual basis for Cohen's plea. And usually the Justice Department goes out of its way not to mention publicly people who have not been charged formally.
So what could this mean? What could this mean for the president? You've written that he could potentially be indicted when he leaves office, which leaves people like Adam Schiff utterly gleeful.
Yeah, well, the fact that I think that the Southern District is heading that way doesn't mean I think it's a good case. I really don't. I don't think that those kinds of payments actually are supposed to be in-kind campaign donations under the law. They're usually handled by administrative fine, not criminal prosecution. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me to believe that you could get a high crime and misdemeanor out of something that's usually handled by a fine.
Yeah, the president says that really wasn't that big a deal. It's not a crime. We'll see what happens, because this case isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It also doesn't seem to be wrapping up anytime soon. Andy McCarthy, thank you so much.